Okay, there's no way you can read that, but if you could read that, it would say Matt Peters for president.
This episode of Conversion Chemistry is brought to you by Clincher Hockey. Clincher Hockey. By beer league players for beer league players. ClincherHockey.com.
The movement that you did to show that looked like clinching was involved, and I just wanted to point that out.
Clenching may have been involved.
I can never not unsee that. That's the problem. So this is going to be an exciting one. Hannah, you've got some stuff to share with our people here, right?
I do. So I'm actually I'm bringing up a Google Doc just for my own notes. So we spent a while going over the 9 different things that new entrepreneurs do when they're starting a business. And I am probably 1 or 2 steps further, like beyond where what we were talking about. So the problem that I've been dealing with the last few weeks is, okay, I've made the sales, right? I've already made my sale. I've got some clients, they are paying me, and I know exactly what I want to do with my business. That's why I have these clients. That's why they're paying me money. And now I have 4 different companies worth of work to do. It's all a little bit different. Some of it is the same. How do I organize my daily schedule to make sure that I am creating deadlines that make sense for myself and what I can do, and I'm hitting those deadlines while still taking all those steps I need to take for my own business? So if you don't mind, I want to go over a couple of things that I did in the first 2 weeks after I started. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to do this like a timeline. So let's see. Do you know the exact date that I switched, Jonesy, that I made this switch? What day did you make the switch recently from one of your old clients?
That would have been the week of January 12th. So I believe yours was around January 15th, 2024.
Okay, great. So January 15th, I walked into a meeting and didn't like what I heard. I had a similar reaction to a day job that a lot of entrepreneurs have, which is, how do I really want to spend all of my time in this place listening to these other people tell me what to do when I'm not even working on my own passion, right? So that's kind of what happened. And so I went out, I had some phone calls, I had a meeting, and within 4 hours, I had very specifically 2 clients that would fill up enough of my time that would make up for the cost of my day job, right? So, all right, I've got 2 clients. So the next, few weeks, the next week wasn't that hard. It was, I know what I'm doing, or on the one job, and I'm just going to start doing it. And on the other job, it's we're going to sit down and talk about what steps we're going to start taking right now. So I did immediately start to get paid. Well, now we're in week 4, I believe, and we're in week 4, and I now have 4 clients. I know exactly what I'm doing for all 4 of them. 2 of them are telecommunications work. Some of the steps I'm waiting on other people for to complete them, and some of the steps I just have to complete them myself. And then for the other 2 jobs, they're jobs. The other 2 contracts that I have, one of them is in-person, a combination of in-person marketing and process creation, and the other one is in-person marketing, process creation, and setting them up to take the next steps to expand. So it's a slight difference, but not really. So the problem I'm facing now is, how do I make sure that I am using all of my hours in the smartest way that I possibly can to get everything done that I need to do?
That is a question for the ages, my dear lady.
And it ties back into the 9 fatal errors that entrepreneurs make. Error number 2, which is lack of focus. Not saying that you have lack of focus, but it can lead to that pitfall.
We would never say that about you, Hannah, ever.
I would be upset if you didn't say that, if that was what was happening to me. So, the first thing that I always talk about when I've got too many tasks to do and not enough time, which is not really what's happening. It's just a lot of different tasks and I have to use different parts of my brain for them. So in order to keep my energy level up, I should be moving gradually from the part of my brain that has to analyze to the part of my brain that has to like make sales and have conversations. So I'm not just ripping myself back and forth. So when it's energy conservation, I know that I do better with smoother transitions rather than really rough, quick, sudden transitions. So I already started by going, the first part of my day is always going to be anything that I need to read, any information that I need to go over or immerse myself in. I'll do that first because it's easier for me to learn in the morning than it is for me to talk. So that's the first thing that I did was energy conservation. And now I am on to what I'm calling triage. So what is the most urgent and what is the most important of my tasks for the week? Now, I haven't said this so far, but I'm sure you guys have done this a lot to the point where you don't even think about it anymore. When you're doing that higher level thinking of planning your week, what is your process?
So my process is I follow a methodology from productivity guru David Allen. I read his book Getting Things Done a long time ago, and to be honest, I haven't kept up to date on what he's doing and any new methodologies that might have come along. But for me, it's all about getting it out of my head and onto paper, a planner, something like that. So any tasks or meetings, they're going on a calendar, they're getting scheduled. Then I have specific blocks out for meetings for clients. Then I have specific blocks out for productivity. And then I build in to almost every day an hour for emergent stuff, emergent and urgent. So priority situations that may come up during a day. And I do my best to map it out on a calendar, Google Calendar, pretty simple. And I integrate that into one of my favorite tools, Trello, which is basic, its most basic form is digital post-it notes and boxes to put those notes.
Frank?
Well, Trello's, that's what we're using for conversion chemistry, by the way. We're just getting it set up there thanks to Jonesy. For me, I start out with my Google Calendar. That is my go-to so that I know where all my calls are for the week. And then I do things a little bit differently. This is my emergency sheet. These are the things that have to be done, this week, like things that come up during the week. And then this is my to-dos that come up during the week. So I live in a digital world, but I work in paper. I'm a big fan of Mr. Gutenberg and the printing press and all that stuff. So I still roll old school for a lot of things. Only because if I write it down, something with my brain, like if I write it down, I remember it. Whereas if I type it in, I'm like, So that's just me though.
So that's actually a really big thing. So first of all, yes, I also use Trello. And if anyone doesn't know and you are listening to this or watching us, you can just go to Trello.com, create an account, and I believe you get more than 10 free boards, which means you can go and create 10 free organizational systems for yourself that you can modify however you want with timers and details. You can link documents in them. So it's a really good tool to explore. And the free version is great. I've used the paid version. I like the free version better. I don't need the paid version. It adds like one thing. So definitely a tool we should use. And Frank, to your point, finding out how we learn and remembering things and then respecting that is huge. So a lot of people look for tools that other people use, or we look for organizational methods that other people use. And at the end of the day, it's not really about the different tools that you can use. It's about which ones work to make your memory trigger or make your brain get into the correct mode it needs to be in for you to be the most effective. So I
Yeah.
love that you said that. Writing things down is a great trigger.
I'm very visual. So like you could tell me something and okay, but if I see a note, I'm like, yeah, I got it. That's just me. It's just because my mind is always 5 steps ahead of what I'm doing right now. So I learned something recently. Oh, we have a walk-on cameo from some strange woman. Oh no, that's my wife, Catherine, by the way.
Hi,
Everybody.
Kat.
Hi,
It's your first time on
Catherine.
film, Cat. Smile and wave, boys. Okay, so um, yeah. So for me, now that my train of thought has just been destroyed, what was I saying?
You were talking about,
Your mind's being 5 minutes ahead of what you're doing right now.
thanks, Jonesy.
Yes, my mind, the way my mind works, I'm always like 5 steps ahead. So one of the ways that I just found, and I should be able to find it right here because I print this stuff out. Give me a second because this is worth it. Ah, here you go. Somebody read that for me because it's backwards. Ask yourself, what am I asking myself, Jonesy?
Where am I?
Answer
Right
here.
here. And I say this out loud. And what's the next
Ask,
part?
ask yourself, what time is it?
Now, right now. And that's Ram Dass. I have that printed out. Do you know this stupid thing? Not stupid thing, this amazing thing? Well, it's just a sheet of paper. You would think, what's the big deal? Printing that out and keeping it by my desk. Anytime I'm like, oh crap, what do I do next? What's going on? That's my breathe, breathe. And that works. See, that's what works for me. That's what works
That's
for me.
that's smashing recenter right on your Google map right there.
Yeah, another one right here. You got this.
And you do.
I,
You do, Frank Garon.
well, thank you, Jonesy. I hope so for all of our sakes. But some days, man, it's like, what in the blank do I do next? You know, and you have to think because, particularly if you're in sales and you know, the stuff we do in real estate. I mean, if a lead comes in now and it's a good lead, I have to stop what I'm doing and I have to go call that lead, try to build rapport, get some details, etc. If I'm in the middle of writing,
And why is that? Because when you're dealing with leads and lead responses, response time is critical.
Yeah.
that is, thank you for pointing that out. Yes, it is. Like, you know, that could be a $50,000 deal right there. So yeah, if I'm typing up an email or newsletter, I am going to have disruptions during my day. And that I might have a story for you guys in a week or two. That's about to get even more interesting because I may be doing some lead closing for a real estate company. In other words, pre-screen leads with me, with them setting the appointment and me calling back for the schmooze part and then the close. So that's going to be looking like 3 or 4 hours a day easy. So that's going to be my calendar right now is my calendar. It's not like Calendly where people can go and enter in, and that's going to have to change. So that's going to require a whole new me at age 59. It should be fun, you know. I
Can I
looked at,
make a
oh,
suggestion for that?
yes, please, anything, help me, Hannah.
So, and yeah, actually, this is, I think, a lot more centered around ADHD and focus than I
Squirrel.
initially meant it to be. Yeah, but I have that. So one of the things that you can do to protect your mind from being distracted by the things you're doing with your time is choose times every single week that you're going to leave open. So you can have two things for that time. One, that's when people can get on your Calendly schedule. It could be an hour every day. It could be 3 hours on Wednesday and 2 on Thursday. That's fine. But if you control the specific amount, those times that they're allowed to choose, then you are expecting once you hit that time to be doing that task. I would say to also have a few extra things that you can do if that time isn't scheduled. So let's say you have a handful of newsletter subjects that you want to get to and you get to that time Wednesday at 2 o'clock and you were supposed to have a call and they didn't show up and you call and they're not answering fine. Well, now you've got 1 hour set aside to do one of your not urgent, not that important, but I definitely wanted to get it done tasks that you can just throw in there. And because you were expecting to have one of those two things, it's going to be easier to throw your brain into that task.
I like that, and thank you. Yeah, supposedly I'll be able to pick my availability within reason, but the salesman in me, like when if there's a lead, I want to work it. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's just me.
If you are distracted and unfocused and struggling to get used to a sporadic schedule, which is not natural for anyone, are you going to be a better or worse salesperson?
If I'm struggling, worse.
Okay, so do you want to be a better or worse salesperson when you get in front of that person?
I want to be a better one, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Eh,
I'm listening. This
Every
is the
single
Hannah
time.
Jesse show today. That's why we have you on here.
So setting yourself up for success in any situation that you're in is going to be, your first and best strength because like Jonesy said, you got this. I have all the skills that I need to do sales and to make calls and to do all of the work for all of my clients that I need to do. But if I don't set up my environment and my time in a structured way that's going to make it easier for me, then I'm going to suck at it. I don't want to suck at it. I want to be good at it.
That makes a
So
lot of sense.
it's, you know, can I make a terrible metaphor right now?
Please.
We insist.
If you put a really good racing horse into a swimming pool, they're still going to lose the race.
Are you talking about drowning ponies? Is that what I'm? getting
I think that might be the end result, but I think the point is the point is, I know the point, if you put, that skill set in the environment where it belongs, it's going to be successful because it's an inherently successful skill set. But if you put it in the wrong environment, it is not going to be successful.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Square peg, round hole.
Yes.
And no ponies were killed during
Yes.
that process.
That's true. We're all animal
Yet.
lovers. We should point that out.
A sponsor and donor of Harmony Rescue and Retreat Animal Sanctuary, harmonyrar.org.
Aw, I love it.
I love that too.
Yeah.
So Frank, you pointed out that because I just wanted to bring this back to the learning styles and respecting how your brain works. One of the things that I do before I get to a Trello board, and I was talking to Jonesy about this earlier, when my brain is chaotic and I have far too many tasks to get myself in a spot where I can be comfortable compartmentalizing and doing one task, stopping, and then moving ahead and doing the next task, I actually write it on little pieces of cardboard. And so I cut up a little cat food cardboard thing this morning and I put every one of my tasks that I have for my clients on these little pieces of cardboard. And they start in a to-do box and I take them out when I'm doing them. I was doing this task before the podcast and I have one more part of it to do afterwards. So it cannot go in the to done box yet. But when I'm done, I will get to go and put this in the to done box. And it's not done, it's the to done because it makes me feel better. And that gives me two things. One, it gives me the tactile feeling where I can actually touch the task that I have to do, which engages my brain a little bit better. And it also gives me a pile of little pieces of cardboard that show me that I was accomplished today. And so I'm using both my ability to pay attention because I'm touching something and there's a physical aspect to that. And I'm using the part of my brain that creates dopamine when I've done something right. I know that if that to done box is filled with a bunch of stuff, I did a good job and my brain's going to reward me for that like a drug. And barring giving myself something like a drug every time I commit, every time I do a task, that will train my brain over time to be happy to do tasks and it will throw my motivation back into overdrive where it belongs.
That's absolutely well said and way better than killing ponies and doing a line of blow every time you complete a task to thus make yourself feel good.
A lot cheaper too.
I'm going to eat a nicotine pill because I did a good job.
Now, so there is something to be said about the lo-fi, low-tech method of doing all of this, is that there are productivity gurus who still stand by doing that. The system should work for you. You shouldn't, box yourself into any system or make yourself work for any system. In order to check off that box number 2 of staying focused, to being accountable and getting things done, all you need is a simple triage system like that. And being a tech guy, there's a million solutions out there. Some very simple like Trello that, is basically the digital version of using cat box cardboard, or Post-it notes. And then there's, very intricate CRMs like Salesforce, even, smaller entry level ones like Monday, different CRMs that, may be too complex for a solopreneur or even a small business when a simple Excel sheet could do.
Yeah. And I kind of want to bring this to a point that I think a lot of us don't realize. When we leave the regular workforce to become our own bosses, that doesn't mean there is no boss. There is a boss. Now we are also our own boss and we are the worker. And so we need to learn management strategies in addition to productivity strategies. So being both of those things isn't necessarily easier. We just prefer it because we don't want someone else to be a boss that we don't like.
I'm so glad you said that because when I went full time, August the 4th will be 27 years already, Hannah. I had no formal training in time management. I had a 2-year college degree in logistics management, but I wasn't operating a warehouse full of boxes and forklifts and tractor trailers here. It was me on the phone with a list of leads. And it was the hardest thing. And I'll say it's even after almost 27 years, still is the hardest thing. Time management and effective yield, because when you're home, you're hungry, you get up, you go get something. You have to go to the little boys or girls room, you get up and do your business. The mail comes, I only get like 3 good things a month, but every day, man, that mailman comes, I'm over there. I'm like, man, I wonder if anybody sent me free money, And it's like, you should be more structured than that. And it's so hard because you have to be the CEO of your own company. You have to be. And I guess, what would you say, HR and everything else, right, Hannah?
Yeah.
It's a lot for the average person, especially if you come from, I mean, at least with me, I drove tractor trailer. And when I came in the morning, they'd hand me my way bills, you know what I mean? And they'd say, go put these in right order. This way the guy will load your trailer and you go out. So I had that control of organizing my day, trying to avoid traffic and this and that. And I was left alone all day until the afternoon when my trailer was empty and my pickups would start. Then they'd call me or page me, whatever, and say, hey, Frank, go to Camden, Federal Street, Camden, New Jersey, pick up 3 pallets and bring them back here or whatever, right? So that kind of helped me in a sense, because I had to think on my feet. All right, 295 is messed up. I'm going to jump the bridge and take 95 instead or whatever, right? And I'm talking about the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Southern New Jersey area. So I had that freedom. But if it was hard for me, and then throwing a good healthy case of ADHD and all this other stuff, how hard it must be, Hannah, for the average person to even try to transition to full time, because there's so much freedom in this business, and that's the beautiful thing. But that freedom is also deadly to productivity if not managed properly. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I think we all started in that similar situation where we were not really being watched at the jobs that we were at because we were effective without, constant supervision. I could never work in a place that has, micromanagement because it irritates me. I need to do things in the way that they make sense for my workflow, not, just because somebody wants something done in another way. And I won't do things in a dumb way. So I really can't be micromanaged because I won't do that. And so I think remembering that, yeah, you're home, but you're still at work is super important. And starting your day at the time when you would expect someone to start a job if they were your employee, or going, okay, well, it's going to take me 10 hours to finish this task. I've got 5 days to do it. How many hours on which days am I going to do that? And then, like Jonesy said, creating a calendar for yourself, however that's going to work, and sticking to it, even if you're hungry, even if you want to check the mail, even if you want to go to the bathroom, whatever that is so valuable, because then when you get to 6 o'clock, you've actually done all the things you promised yourself you were going to do that day. And there's another part about that too. When you have a regular job and you get sick, you often have sick pay. Now, I have had the luck, not luck, to not usually have had that in my life, and so I don't often respect my body much when I'm sick. I just do it anyway. I do whatever I have to do anyway. But I'm now in a period of my life where I sometimes can't do that. I do have to respect my body. And so, like, I have expectations of how much work is going to get done every single day and what time some of that work, some of it has to be done during daylight hours, especially if it's phone calls or I'm talking to anyone. There's limitations on that. So, in addition to setting a daily schedule for myself and a weekly schedule for myself, I also ended up creating if I'm sick, what is the minimum acceptable amount of work that I can do to make sure that I can sleep so I can get better and still be productive? And that's actually what I did last week. So I allowed myself to treat myself like I was a sick employee. I said, okay, well, these things still have to get done, but when can I rest? When does that work? And so, yeah, it is hard, but as long as you're keeping all of those thoughts in mind. I need to get stuff done. I know how much stuff I need to get done. I know when it needs to be done by. So I'm going to schedule it out for the week ahead. And then I'm a human being, and therefore I need to allow myself to go to the bathroom and eat lunch. So I'm going to, put maximum amounts of time on distraction. Then I think you can be successful, but you do have to think about it.
That's it. You have to put thought into it. You have to have a plan and then be flexible and re-triage when things come up. And in that spirit, Hannah, I believe it is your feeding time. So I'm going to end this episode in the
That's just
spirit
wrong.
of your in the spirit of your Alfredo dinner.
Oh, thank you.
because you deserve it. You deserve to be well fed. You deserve to sharpen the salt and take care of yourself.
That's why we're going to have you back in 2 hours for another podcast.
Okay.
Wait, what
All
do
right.
you mean? We're going to we record on different days. I'm changing my outfit for the next one.
Oh, I
Are
gotta
you?
change my shirt.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh,
Okay.
and by the way, can we have Lifesavers be a corporate sponsor? Because these are the things that keep me talking. Okay. If they want to send over a case of peppermints to my house and Jonesy's,
I will buy you Lifesavers if we can make nicotine mints our sponsor, because these are far more expensive.